So I'm out here in rural Wasco. I'm out in the middle of nowhere and it's 100 degrees, the wind's blowing. I'm turning red, it's so hot. Welcome to this episode of History Hunters. This is the filming location for the very iconic scene in North by Northwest. Cary Grant dropped off out here. He's gonna meet up with somebody. Very weird thing happens. An airplane, a crop duster comes along here and tries to take him out. Yeah, Cary Grant, Alfred Hitchcock came out here. And the reason that we know this is the location is because the telephone poles are very distinctive telephone poles, and that irrigation pipe down there sticking out has not changed since they were here in the 50s. That's our indication of where this took place.
North by Northwest centers on a New York City advertising executive named Roger Thornhill, played by Cary Grant, who was mistaken as government agent George Kaplan and pursued by a ruthless spy Philip Van Dam, played by James Mason. Hunted relentlessly by Van Dam's associates, Thornhill ends up on a cross-country journey, meeting the beautiful and mysterious Eve Kendall, played by Eva Marie Saint, along the way. Soon Van Dam's henchmen close in on Thornhill, resulting in a number of iconic action sequences.
Now, it may not look exactly like it did in the 50s when the film crew was out here, and that's because the side road at the bus stop was not here. It was a fake road. They made a fake road off of this road, and Cary Grant's dropped off out here, and he sees like 3 different vehicles passing by, and he's wondering, well, where's this person I'm supposed to meet? I think Kaplan's his name. Out of the cornfield comes this car to drop off this gentleman waiting for the bus. Cary Grant would have been right about here. Too bad we don't know exactly. But the truck passes by here and blows dust all over him. And then the car that I told you about drops this gentleman off. They also planted some cornstalk out there from the Wasco High School student farm because there's nothing growing out here at the time. Alfred Hitchcock wanted a place that would be barren, 360 degrees all the way around.
The location manager for Hitchcock's film was very good because he found a place that looked very much the environs of Indiana and 80 miles as the crow flies from Los Angeles.
Now, the plan was to have a tornado come by and take care of Cary Grant. But then the producer, Lehman, said, how are we going to have these villains create this tornado? He said, hey, how about a plane that comes out of the sky? And so Hitchcock says, yeah, how about a crop duster? So that's how that scene developed. As you're probably aware, the crop dusting scene where he goes into the cornfield and he gets dusted, that was actually shot in Paramount Studios in Hollywood. But he does run behind a cornfield, or run into the cornfield here. But the close-ups were actually shot in the studio. Now, the cornfield was off in that direction right over there. As you probably remember in the scene, Cary Grant is waiting for somebody to show up. The gentleman shows up out of the cornfield, is dropped off. We're waiting for the bus, and he comes up and says it's
hot day. Seen worse.
And he says, you happen to be waiting for somebody out here.
Then your name isn't Kaplan.
Can't say it is, because it ain't.
And then he starts noticing the crop duster coming in from this direction here. He says, that's odd.
That plane's dusting crops where there ain't no crops.
And the gentleman gets on the bus and takes off. And then Cary Grant eventually sees that this plane's coming right for him. Came in from this direction and flies over the road. And he hits the ground. He hits the ground here. And then he says, oh crap, somebody's after me. And then he decides to take off in the cornfield and duck for cover there. And he does get away. But then the real kicker was the tanker truck. He tries to stop the tanker truck. Right, it's coming at him right here, right? And then he almost gets mowed over by it, and the truck stops just in time. And and then all of a sudden the plane goes right into the tanker and explodes, and there's a big fireball. That was all done by model. They didn't have CG back then, but they had other ways to fake things in Hollywood.
You might notice that it is not Cary Grant beneath the truck here, nor in the fire scenes, but it was that of stunt double named Saul Gores. It's a detail that Hollywood movie makers hope you wouldn't catch on to on the big screen. When this scene of Cary Grant rushing out of a cornfield and towards a car which is coming from afar was originally shot, a big error was made. The next day, Hitchcock discovered that script supervisor Peggy Robertson had forgotten to make sure that Grant was covered with crop dust. She burst into tears because the whole scene had to be shot all over again.
It's pretty much as barren as it was way back then, but I can't think of a more iconic Hollywood scene in a movie as that one from Hitchcock in the airplane. It's a classic, and to think it happened right here. As you're probably aware, whenever a Hollywood crew sets up and filming out in a location like this where they're not expected, they attract a crowd and the word spreads pretty quickly. I saw a picture of the wife of the crop duster pilot that came out here. She posed with Cary Grant.
Among the others who flocked to the filming location to get a glimpse of Cary Grant was 14-year-old Christine Burrow, who said she wasn't impressed to be in the presence of a distinguished Hollywood legend. She wrote on Facebook in 2023, quote, "I was far too proud of the ring around my neck. Although it showed I was yours by heck, for the life of me I can't remember who yours was. LOL."
A gentleman that came out here got pretty chummy with Cary Grant. He said that they were staying at a motel in McFarland, but they decided to move on to a Bakersfield hotel because the motel bar at McFarland closed at 10:30. So that kind of tells you these Hollywood types are drinkers. And I really wish I knew exactly where the road was. But like I said, we are very close to it, if not right on it.
When I started shooting this video, I was fairly certain that I was parked close to the spot where the dirt road came out from the fake cornfield planted for the film. However, as I made my way farther up north and closer to the pole and irrigation pipe, I believe the existing dirt road coming off the east side was the actual spot where Cary Grant was running from the airplane in an eastbound direction.
So, you know, on second thought, this may be the road that the guy comes out of the cornfield or drives along past the cornfield and dropped off out here. Because it could be about the same distance from that telephone pole and that irrigation ditch up there. If that's true, the scene took place right here. I get real antsy on high-speed roads like this, or, you know, what if somebody wasn't paying attention and drifts off the road and they're looking at their cell phone and whammo! I just don't like that.
Strangely, there are no traces today of the dirt road west of Corcoran Road that you see here behind Cary Grant as the camera faces west. There seems to be a lot of misinformation on the internet as to the exact location of this filming site. For example, Virtual Globetrotting gave this map erroneously declaring the movie was shot on Derry Avenue at Garces Highway. That's about 6.5 miles off. The same wrong information is presented at the website carygrant.net. I'll include the exact GPS coordinates in the video description if you wish to drive all the way out to the site, but it's a ways out there. Also, the wooden fence posts seen here in the movie have been replaced by durable steel poles that are common today. Another big blooper I noticed is that the Wasco filming site did not have a pile of rocks in this scene here where Cary Grant dives for cover. But then again, the scene was shot inside of Paramount Soundstage and not in Wasco. Something to keep in mind when you watch the Wasco film segment is the ever-changing shadows as the film was shot at different times of the day. It's one of the things that drives me crazy when watching a movie scene, and no thought is given to the changing position of the sun throughout the day.
I do appreciate you tuning into History Hunters and another lesson in Hollywood history. I'm curious what you thought of North by the Northwest, and did that scene with the airplane freak you out? Ever since I saw it, I started thinking, wow, what a clever way to kill somebody. But the guy flying the airplane gets killed anyway, so poetic justice, right? Anyway, appreciate your comment. Always appreciate giving us a thumbs up. helps drive the algorithm to our channel and our videos. And we're always looking for new content. A lot of people ask me to do different things, and I don't really have the time. I have a full-time job and limited resources. So I can't get to all the ideas that everybody has. Occasionally I do pick up on them, but been wanting to get out here for several years and had the opportunity today. Again, it had to be one of the hottest days in early June, June 5th. So again, thank you so much for joining us on History Hunters.